Hello and welcome to Everyday Woman here on KTN Home. I am authoritative. On this show, we engage various women in their elements and in their day-to-day activities as they pull through the currents and, the odds to become who they are. On this episode, we have the honor of hosting an incredible woman, the CEO and founder of Sud Watches Kenya, Susan Mueni. Now let's engage her to see what this conversation is all about, because she tells me wearing a watch is an element of class, elegance and style, and of course the basic factor of keeping time. Or is it?
Yes, it is.
How are you today?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm fine.
Yes.
It's such a pleasure having you here. Tell me, before we even dig deep into this conversation, what does time really mean to you?
So time for us is beyond, actually it's something that I keep saying a lot. It's definitely time is the time you get to be on this earth, but at Sud we try to make time as beautiful as possible, and you'll be able to see that on a lot of our pieces. So we want you to tell more than time when you wear our watches. So for us, we just trying to add like flavors and different aspects of time to watches. Yeah.
Ooh, absolutely. Yeah. And we can see that in your store. Now, would want to know a little bit about you, I mean, where did you grow up and how was it like, growing up?
So I grew up in Mueni, that's in Kitui County, in a village called Zeluni. Growing up country is it's a bit limiting, because then you only see what you're able to interact with. But then the moment I went to high school, I think that's when now that opened up my mind to the opportunities and the many things that could happen for myself. And then I went to campus in Moi University. Since then I have just now been doing Sud from the moment I cleared campus.
Oh, we like it. Now this begs the question now. While growing up, were you the child who always kept time?
Well, as an adult right now, I don't know whether I'm the child who keeps time. But I think not really. I think it's more, this came to me more in the creative way than in the timekeeping way. I would say I was the kid who just was willing to try more things, to do more fun things. So I think it's the creativity that actually fueled me doing African oriented watches.
Now, still talking to the kid self or the younger self, give me a memory that you can vividly remember growing up,
I have a lot of memories from me and my grandmother. I don't know why. I think it's because we used to see her more often, like every weekend we were visiting. So I think it's a lot of just how stylish she was, and she always had a watch on. And she got opportunities to travel to the States to visit my aunties, and then she would bring us gifts. And I could tell a lot of it was a lot of accessories, which even to now, you will never catch her without an accessory or just something that tells that stylish aspect of her. So I remember her gifting me a watch. I honestly don't know where it is right now, but I can remember the gifting aspect of a lot of my childhood from my grandma, and now her travels back and forth to see my aunties. Yeah.
Could you say she's among the people that really spoke to you about the creativity side and what you're doing currently?
So we lost our grandfather a bit early, in a way that now she used to do a lot of the paying school fees and all the upkeeps by herself, and she used to make the woven baskets. Kiondo is the most Kenyans would know it, and I feel like the world is beginning to just know it as a kiondo, because that's what it is. She used to do a lot of those, and then she used to have trips to Kariakor markets. That's like in the 90s, because that's to pay for my mom's school fees and all of that. So she used to sell them there, and then with time I think she even got a group of women who now knew that she's good in the business of the baskets, and then they used to do the baskets, and then she would be now the one who rounds them up and takes them to the market. So I feel in that way I see a lot of what she did in those years in what I do right now. Definitely I feel like whatever I'm doing right now is just more empowered by the different times. I feel like if she was living in the now, she would literally be me. Yeah,
we like it. Now, speaking of time and being a woman that every day you are on the run, how does your typical day begin? How does it end?
So my day begins at the gym. I really move your body is something I believe in, because I think I've done that since I was in campus. So I work out in the morning, and then depending on whether I am supposed to run my errands at the store or at the workshop, because we do have a workshop where now, like, the watch takes a lot of people before it gets to your hand. So we're the beading team, that's in Kajiado County again, because you know the Maasai community is heavy on the beadwork, so we tried our best to just like get authentic and bring people together. So I'll go to the workshop or to the store. I'll be on Instagram here and there, because we're also big online. So I think my day changes depending on what duty I'm supposed to play for the company on that day. But it always starts at the gym and ends at the shop.
What would you say is your purpose in life?
Ooh, that's a good question. Because I think I just found my purpose about a few months ago.
Really?
So I used to believe my purpose was making watches, and then I realized I am very passionate about people, like just making impacts and like empowering people in any way that I can. So assuming I wasn't making watches, I know for sure whatever I would be doing in life, it would have everything to do with changing people's lives. So my purpose, I would say, is to build Sood, but then to empower people to either live their dreams or to see what their purpose is while I do it. Good example is I really have a passion for small businesses. So through me building my business, I am always trying to coach and mentor and create content from when I started now for someone who is starting now, for them to be able to just see how it looks like building a business. So I think I would say my purpose is just making sure that the human community is empowered by my story in whatever angle they're in. Yes.
Then that means you are a leader of sorts.
Yes, I am.
And would want to know, how does it feel like being in that leadership position? You know, people are looking up to you, whether they tell you directly or not. You know, somehow you're impacting someone out there.
When you are authentically doing that, it becomes easier. It's a heavy task because, again, sometimes it gets into your head and you're thinking, so I am impacting someone's life, so that would mean I need to carry myself this way or that way. But then it looks like the more authentic I do it, the easier it becomes. And especially if now, for me, who already knows that my purpose is in like impacting people, then I will essentially carry that task easier because I already know it's in my purpose to do it. There's pressure that comes with it, but I think the more authentic you are, honestly, the easier it is, because then you don't need to perfect it. It's like today, I think a lot of what I even like share a lot is, if something goes wrong, it's like we had an order or we had a fallout with a team member, I will essentially show that showing the story is what impacts people more, because I even think that a lot of our customers really love seeing the actual things as they happen. So I think the more authentic you are, the better it is and the easier it is to do it. Yeah.
Absolutely. And I think that's a very good note so far through the show to take a short commercial break. We will be back with so much more from Susan Mueni. Hello, welcome back from the break. We are glad you are tuned here on KTN Home. This is Everyday Woman with me, Eustace Segate. Our guest today is Susan Mueni. Just before we went for a short commercial break, she has talked extensively about her experience, her purpose, and so much more. And this moment, we want to know what kind of pressure comes with this job that you're doing every day.
So I think being an entrepreneur is already pressure, to be honest. Like the actual journey of entrepreneurship is pressure. And then I keep telling people, if you are an entrepreneur and then you're also in the handmade products space, then the pressure it's getting worse. Because then literally that means every product that is made is unique in its own way, and it requires like people's hands. So if someone messes up, that messes up the entire ladder until where the clients get the product. So I think that's one of the biggest challenge. It's not a machine, it's a hand. So if someone is only able to make maybe this watch in a day, that means all orders are going to take a day. There's no way I can make the person do it faster, especially since I've already pushed them to do it as fast as they can. So I think that's one of the challenges. The other is just we are made in Kenya brand, I would say like up to 99%.
Yeah.
So that means locally sourced materials, just the processes and all of that. So I think already the leather and all of that, there's a lot of challenges when it comes to sourcing for quality leather, and also being able to get the quantities without you having to, you get an example of like, you're going to a tannery and you want leather, and they're telling you for you to have this specific type of leather, you need to order like I don't know how many square feet, and I'm like, I'm just a small business, like I'm literally just a small business trying to impact and create jobs and all of that, but then here we are trying to also do that, but then the systems are also against us. So I think there's a lot of that. The other one that I have to touch on is literally being a creative in this country is also quite hectic. You will find that someone will see what you're doing, they love your work, but then they still have the audacity to copy you and not expect you to be mad for copying you. And I'm like, we all have our own ways of impacting the world, but then you don't have to steal my idea. I can inspire you to start something, but you can't take this watch and go and make it exactly as is and sell it and say it's your work, because it's not your work. So I think a lot of that. The rest is just now the usual economic trends are tough.
Yeah.
I know people think we have recovered fully from COVID, but I feel like no, it's when now we are slowly weaning ourselves from that 2020 hectic business period. So I'd say that's a lot of what the challenges look like.
Well,
Yeah.
That's quite
That's
a
a
lot
lot.
to deal with, but I see
Yeah.
you've been cruising nicely
Yeah.
because you're still up and running
Yes,
to
we
now,
are. Yeah.
and you still have to remain relevant in the market. One would wonder then, what do you do to ensure that you are relevant even with the change of time, and that you still make business sense, and of course continue doing what you desire to do as part of your purpose?
So our mission at Sud is to tell the impact and the evolution of the African culture through civilization. So you see, you realize that the African culture is so wide in the way that we might never even like exhaust it.
Yeah.
So it's just constantly thinking and wondering, how can I bring up something new? Where can we innovate with what our mission is? But then also trying to also build a community that is less built on, and that's what I was telling you, it's less built on keeping time and more of you can wear a watch and look stylish. So we sell the watch, yes, but then we want to give you more of style and the watch. So that actual innovation and all of that is what really keeps us going. I also think making sure that we give more than you anticipate, because if you look at our packaging, like a lot of feedback we get from our clients is like, I had seen the watch, but when I received it, the quality of work, the attention to detail, the packaging, like just making sure that you're going beyond what you're offering, or like you are constantly trying to deliver the best experience for the client. I think that's what I would say keeps us just like relevant and like on top of things.
All right.
Yeah.
Then that means through the feedback and even self-reflection of the business through the years, you could highlight to us some of the highlights of being in this industry, and especially of course being a woman.
When you think of made in Kenya, or someone is like, I want to gift someone a watch, you get a lot of recommendations on Sud because of the unique. Everyone has a watch. You can check your time on the phone. You get.
Yeah.
But I think like the actual will I call it the inaugural design, like the calf watches, these big ones, really have been our biggest product. And I think even as we go, it's gonna be one of those products that are the mother of the brand because of the unique aspect. I also think a lot of it is just seeing a lot of now popular people, good example like Caroline, and other people in we look up to, embracing the brand and being like, okay, these guys are onto something. So, you know, that tap on the back is really, really important. And then also getting featured on features, like there's a time we had an article on New York Times, and then like the world embracing something that to someone looks like this is a beaded watch, but then someone else will see it as this is actually art, because then how do you bring beads and the watch together and I'm able to wear it and not feel like it's too much. So I think those have been our biggest highlights so far. I think for me, being a woman, I would say it's honestly being able to shine light on other women. Or like, good example is how my grandmother looks at my story, because like a while back when we went to shoot her at her home, like you could tell that she can see that I am onto something, and she's proud of the fact that she's part of me being me. You get what I mean? So like shedding light on probably a lot of women who had dreams and they were not able to because of the times they were living in and all of that. The other one would be just even on our Instagram and our social medias, someone just being like, you've really, really inspired me and encouraged me to follow my dream and believe that anything is possible, because I am very, very heavy on inspiring and bringing people with you as you're going, because I'm like, there's no fun when you get at the top and it's just you by yourself. Like, what? That's boring.
Yeah.
But yeah, like that aspect of being able to bring people with you as you go, from my bidding team, where now we have like a group of Maasai women. You see that impact, and someone is, as suit grows, we are all growing, because that means you're making more from your skill, you're getting empowered and all of that. So I think it's just the impact that this has on the community at large.
Talking of impact, could you give a word of advice to women out there, or someone who would wish to do something similar to you or in line with what you have done? Of course, borrowing from your own experience and the experiences of the people that you've already mentored and inspired.
My word of advice is, I know it's cliche, but like everything is actually possible. Everything you can think of in your mind is a possibility. If you hadn't thought of it, then that means it's not possible. But if you can actually like come into your thoughts, that's possible. Now what you do with the thought is what makes the difference. You know, like I have thought of making a car, but then you can sit there and think of making that car for the rest of your life. Or you can take action and be like, okay, now I can make a car. Maybe I can turn this idea into a toy. Then maybe someone will see the toy and be like, this would be a cool car. And then you will be able to put yourself in places where you're able to make the car. So the distance between when you dream and when you achieve the thing is the action in between. So everything is possible. Definitely the rest is consistency. If you consistently do something, something will definitely come from it. So consistency, when you start something, if you can consistently, like the thing you told about, if you hit a rock, as in if you keep hitting the same place, something will happen, you know? Yeah, so the consistency is what builds up to you dreaming and actually actualizing your dream.
All right. Yeah. And as you wind up, what do you like usually tell yourself when you're feeling some type of way about, goodness, this woman has to wake up today and go to the grind, and you're kind of, you know, a little bit on the low?
So I think I look back at things that I have actually done. I journal a lot. I don't know. I intentionally write things down. So I will just read a day when I actually achieved something. The other example is, again, you guys have heard about my grandmother over and over, but then I will think of the many things that have brought me to this point that I am doing this, and then that will just show me that you're having a down day, but then, and it's normal to have a down day. It's not like every day you will be on 100. If you want to take a break, but then tomorrow we have to do this. If you don't have room for breaks because maybe you have orders that are due, then you will just need to push yourself and do the most that you can for that day. So definitely journaling and going back to the milestones that I've achieved so far, and also just thinking of other people who are part of my story, that it's not about me. It's clearly not about me. So just trying to now remove myself and be like, if I don't do this, that means my client won't be happy. The bidding people won't have food to eat. The people who are following the story will. Just trying to make everything not about myself, but also giving myself the chance to rest if it's stress that I need.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
We like that, and I think that is very powerful, very insightful, and I'm almost sure everyone that has listened to Susan, you know, as the everyday woman of today, I'm almost sure you have learned so much from her. And I think our time here at Sue is over. It was a pleasure having you on the show.
Thank you very
so much.
Yes, it was a pleasure being here.
Most welcome.
And sharing my story. Yes.
Well, that's it for us from here, Everyday Woman. Remember to check us up on our social media pages at KTN Home across all social media platforms. And also, you can catch this episode later on our YouTube platforms at KTN Home. I am Yusa Segete. Until next time, be safe.